Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 14th of June 2023 and it's 2:50 p.m. Brisbane time. I've just had my two-weekly fortnightly debrief with my psychiatrist, and I explained to him he's a wonderful man. He's one of the few truly wonderful men, human men I have ever known in my life. Him and my previous psychiatrist, Dr. Eastwell. Wonderful, kind men. And I suppose it comes from working in that kind of work of dealing with the worst demonic oppressions and mental illnesses and darkness thrown upon humanity on a daily basis. You know, this work it's angelic work, it's God-given work, done right and with pure intent and with kind souls. I mean, my first psychiatrist, I won't name him, but he was a piece of shit, quite frankly. So let's not be delusional here. There are bad psychiatrists out in the world, just like there's bad people in any vector of society. But I'm so grateful to have a supportive, validating, kind, genuinely heartfelt, caring psychiatrist in my life for the past 12 years. So the debrief was rather intense because I told him that I had been fully trauma activated in recent weeks, partly because we are under full-blown attack. This is my beliefs and what I'm seeing around me, okay, people? So don't take it on board. If you're not experiencing this and you're having an easy ride and a joyful existence and maybe in love and life is beautiful for you right now, don't take on my negativity. But what I'm experiencing is deeply dark and terrifying and horrific. And so, as I stated to my doctor, I said we're under full-blown attack in every vector of society, from the elites or our AI overlords, whoever is running planet Earth right now, because it seems to be in lockstep and it seems to be a coordinated, multi-pronged attack involving media, medicine, big pharma, law, the court system, health, every vector of society. I said to him, it's almost like a giant spike protein stabbing us in every possible aspect of our lives, including the banking system with the interest rates going up, and those people who are working hard to provide for their families and paying a mortgage are being crushed daily. Food prices going up. We are being starved out, crushed out, and ultimately there will be no alternative other than full-blown riots and civil war or en masse suicide, neither of which I'm advocating. I'm trying to get us through this paradigm, us meaning me and those people that understand where I'm coming from, in relative peace and safety and harmonious existence. But it's getting blood-curdlingly terrifying. We've had weeks of now this obsession over AI overlords taking over the world and annihilating the human species, which is not completely beyond the realms of reality, but it's just yet another oppressive jackboot to the throat delivered by the internet, social media, YouTube. And those of us who are a little bit vulnerable, who've lived through worse paradigms than this, who survived with our children, barely survived. We didn't survive unscathed, unfortunately. Those of us who are constantly being attacked with this constant threat hanging over our head, like the sword of Damocles, coming ever closer and closer and becoming ever more personal, we're getting a bit flubbery and we're getting a bit trauma activated and fearful for our life and for our future. My doctor reminded me that we're at the moment in a recession, not that the government or the media are talking about it openly, no, because they're responsible for it. It's another deliberate attack, squeezing people out, getting them in the hip pocket, knowing that there's no way to earn more money, to afford the food, to afford the rents, to afford the rates. There's no way out. It's deliberate. It's genocidal. It was done before in Nazi Germany. It's been done. It's the same old playbook, different characters, different, maybe modernised a little bit for contemporary society, but it's the same old playbook. Get the people under thumb, under control. And when you attack people in their most primary basic care, which is food, access to clean water, a roof over your head, housing, electricity and gas so you can live in comfort and not be frozen out of your home literally to death. Access to medicine, safe medical practices that don't involve being threatened with rape and molestation like I had. That underlying threat with a certain skin doctor a few years back. That was horrific. Safe, respectful, body autonomy considered medicine. Not this poisoning that they've done to the world's global population. Completely evil it was. All of it. And yes, you can argue, if you get COVID and die, well, that's evil too. It is. It's all evil. Every last aspect of it is evil. But the cure did not actually provide us any actual cure or safety or positive outcome. And we're seeing that now, aren't we? As I predicted from the very beginning. So yes, my doctor reminded me that I've been working so very hard with my silversmithing, hoping to generate an income ultimately, or generate the skills, wealth promotion, to give myself, hi girls, to give myself enough stability, financial and emotional and mental, that I can actually ultimately provide for myself and get off the disability pension and stop feeling like such a fucking loser and a lab rat trapped in some giant fucking machine that is now eating at us from the inside out, literally eating us from the inside out. And I am in a more fortunate position, ironically, because of my level of destitution, because I do have a home and I do have the pension for now, till some malicious, autocratic, tyrannical, insane, vicious bureaucrat decides. I mean, that could happen too, just like AI could kill us all. I actually said to my doctor that if AI killed the whole human species, at least it would be quick and it would be over, because it's actually a form of torture what we're enduring now. Every week some new crisis invented or laser pointed like a microscope and enlarged into some big dramatic fear-mongering campaign. So the ordinary average person without a brain to bless themselves is running around slack-jawed and acopic. And then there's us trauma patients, CPTS patients, who are literally starting to lose our shit too, because we've already lived through worse scenarios and we can't see a good outcome out of all of this. And when things become unsurvivable, or you can't see any hope for the future, that's when the suicidal ideation kicks in. And I was honest about that with my doctor. It's subterranean, but it's something I have always lived with since early childhood. The notice that if shit keeps getting uglier and uglier and more unmanageable and more unsurvivable, then the only alternative is to suicide. And that's not because people like me are cowardly or weak. We've already fought battles by the time we were 6-year-old that most people cannot even imagine. So it's not weakness that makes us want to self-immolate. It is defiance. It is courage. It is saying, no, you will not torture me one more moment, of one more minute, of one more hour, of one more day. Bobo, we're not playing this game. Mummy's making a video and you're being very naughty. She says, I don't know what a video is, Mama. I'm going to be naughty anyway. Oh, to be so sweet and innocent and oblivious. It's gorgeous. That's why we have animals, to remind us of the beauty in the world. Have courage, Beauregard. It's just a ball. Here you go. The ball. So, have courage. I take my own advice. My doctor thinks it's a bit trivial, me being upset about Crystal not wanting me at her play. And I guess you could look at it that way. In the broad scheme of things, faced with global annihilation, AI takeovers, nuclear holocaust, contrived wars in Ukraine without end, the general lack of human connection, the misogyny and the misandry as well, the fear and the debauchery and the dulling down of the human intellect. It's all trivial. It's all trivial in the broad scheme of things. On a planet far, far away, if you look down at planet Earth, a little blue planet rolling around in the cosmos, they'd think, oh, I wonder what it's like down there. It's so beautiful. Those people must be so happy and grateful to be alive. And they must really love each other, and it must be a delight to be human. And then we get here and it's like, fuck! Well, you have to laugh, don't you? You have to laugh, otherwise, if you didn't laugh, you'd go completely insane. So anyway, I've had a lovely day. I was a little bit disordered this morning, couldn't get myself together. But I did go out and get some fruit and vegetables and some groceries because I had nothing much left to eat in the house. And I took my my studded boots with the buckles. They look like motorcycle, the short boots, to the boot maker because they needed new heels, new heel caps put on. And it was actually quite delightful because I haven't been to that particular boot maker in a long time, and he's quite a nice man, So there's another one I used to go to at Holland Park that used to get very excited every time I walked in, so I stopped going because he wasn't creepy or anything, but he just gave me this weird look. But this fellow was quite sweet actually. He said, I'm going on holiday for a month and I'm finishing on Friday. I said, will you have time to do my boots then before Friday? He said, they'll probably be finished by tomorrow, but I'll make sure you come in on Friday and I'll be ready. So I said to him, that's okay, I'm not in a hurry. And I said, I know what it's like, when you're when you're busy with things, I said, I'm a silversmith. It's most unusual for me to announce to someone that I'm a silversmith. So he looked at my jewellery and he sort of poked his finger at me. I think he's a Greek man, or Greek ancestry. And he said, did you make all that? And I said, well, yes, I did. And then there was this brief moment where I just beamed with pride at myself that for once I have something to say about my identity that doesn't involve poverty, grief, trauma, feelings of worthlessness, feelings of inability to thrive, feelings of failure. Even I told my psychiatrist, said, oh, that's actually quite sweet, Tanya. I said, yes, I'm now randomly announcing to people, which I never thought I would ever do actually, that I'm a silversmith. Well, I'm on a little journey of being a very accomplished silversmith one day when I learn how to set stones and that, but I must say I am proud of this necklace. It's almost childlike how proud I am of it, but it gave me a breakdown. I worked on it even with the dentistry last week, 3 days, and then promptly had a massive fucking bad breakdown. But I knew it was coming. It always comes when I have medical or dental treatment. I think it's a reaction to the anaesthetic and, the pain of being poked around. It just flares up my complex PTSD and activates me, It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. But I said to my doctor, this is the purpose why I wanted to make this video, actually. Psilocybin has been legalised in Australia under clinical practice for treatment of PTSD and CPTSD patients. So I said to him, I'm desperate. I said, this is no reflection on you as my therapist. I said, you've been a wonderful doctor for 12 years and, you've done everything you could to heal me over and beyond the call of duty at times, especially when I had that awful suicide attempt triggered by, the tipping point was this awful bully at the casino. But that was the tipping point. There was a lot going on in 2015, and that a lot of ugliness and viciousness, and that was just the final straw, right? So I said to him, you fought for me and advocated for me, and you've always been a wonderful support, and I acknowledge and I appreciate that. I said to him, but I'm not getting any better. It's been about 25 years of therapy because I did a lot of self-help books before I saw, Dr. Eastwell. I read a lot of self-help psychology books. I did 5 years of my own personal therapy that way, and then I've been, 20 plus years in therapy with my current doctor, as I said, my previous Dr. Eastwell. So I've done the therapy and more therapy and more therapy, but my brain's just it's just the way it is. And maybe it's part of the aging thing too, that I'm feeling more vulnerable and definitely triggered and under constant chronic attack by the nature of the world we're living in now. And so I said to my doctor, I said I would be interested in undertaking under clinical control, because I'm dead against illicit drugs. I mean, apart from, having used marijuana, not used, but been comforted by marijuana a few times in my life, I have never dabbled in any other types of illicit drugs, because I had too many people growing up around me that were heavily addicted to quite dangerous substances, including heroin, and I just did not want to ever be in that position in my own body, mind and spirit, right? So I said to him, I've never tried psilocybin because I was always taught to be afraid of it. But I'm willing to try either MDMA or psilocybin under clinical control. He said, well, it won't be him that will do it, which I was quite surprised. He said I would be sent to another psychiatrist or therapist who specialises in having a completely controlled environment. And he said his concern, though, would be that it would cause me to relive all my traumas. And I said to him, I'm already reliving them. I'm having nightmares of my ex-husband, who is a man that just so disgusts me that I think about him so rarely. And I said, I even find it odd that I've been dreaming about him in recent weeks. But the undercurrent, the subconscious undercurrent behind that was I already knew that my daughter on some level was, marginalising me and betraying me with this, not wanting me at her play. So it manifested as nightmares about her father, which is, quite frankly, he was the original sadist that brought on a lot of my mental health issues. I mean, the man used to do things like crush mice under his size 13 feet in the shop and giggle like a schoolboy and thought it was funny. And, laugh when I said that he was being evil and cruel and sadistic, and that a mouse doesn't deserve to be treated like that, not like any other living creature on this planet. There's no need to be sadistic and cruel. There's something actually really wrong with someone's mind when they're like that. They're actually really sick and evil and debauched. So, what happens in a time of crisis that we're coming out of? Well, I was hoping we were coming out of it, actually, with this COVID epoch. I was hoping that there was going to be, a new paradigm and a new horizon and something lovely coming out of it. But no, now we're hammered with more sadism and evil and perversion, threatening us that AI is going to kill us all, and next week it'll be some other drama. Oh, they're also banging on about alien invasions. Well, I have to tell you, people, I'm a believer in ufology, and if the aliens had really wanted to invade us, they've had billions of years to do it. In fact, I'm of the belief that we as human beings were actually seeded here, so I'm quite convinced that they do check on us from time to time, see what kind of creatures we've evolved into, and they must be bitterly disappointed that the best we could come up with for human annihilation of our own selves was COVID and all the other bullshit contrivances and wars we've created in the last however billions of years or millennia that human beings have existed. When did Homo sapiens sapiens come about? 200,000 years ago or something. I mean, we're fairly new kids on the block, and yet we're the most dangerous of them all. That's not an accident, people. That was genetic engineering, I believe. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it really was just an accident of genetics. But as a spiritual person, I personally believe there's no accidents in the universe. There's horror, there's trauma, there's horrific things that happen, but there are also miracles and goodness and kindness and triumph of the human spirit over oppression, over malfeasances, over evil, and it's a constant war of good versus evil, and sometimes good wins and sometimes evil wins, but it's cyclic, a bit like the Hindu idea of that we're in the Kali Yuga, and it's why it's such a a tumult and a tussle and a disarray and destruction. But I'm not so sure. I mean, on a good day, you can almost hear the new world breathing. The new world being humanity living in more closer to natural law, in harmony with their little birdies and their little doggies, and with nature, with all that is, and maybe finding a bit more harmonic resonance with each other. Maybe dancing childlike and joyful like little face spirits in our gardens, and maybe just keeping our beloveds close and honouring life. Maybe that's what will come out of this horrorscape, this hellscape. I hope so. I'm holding on for that delusion, the idealistic delusion, that we will make a better world for those of us who survive this current blot on humanity. I'm holding on against all hope because I'm defiant. On that note, on that note, but before I go, yes, the psilocybin. So my doctor tells me that it would have to be conducted by another therapist, and he would have to find out about it, because obviously it's probably expensive. It's probably just as expensive as the cannabis doctors were wanting to charge me, $185 for 25 mils. I mean, it's just a rort. It's a scam. It's bullshit. Knowing that people like me are suffering and barely keeping our heads above water, you know, it's a disgrace. If I could access the cannabis myself, I could make my own fucking CBD oil, boil it down in butter or something. But look, I didn't want it to be like a crutch or a dependency. Just like I'm no longer on psych meds. I don't want to be held together by drugs, you know, medical, pharmaceutical, or natural. I've been living my life freeballing it for the last 7 years, you know, with a bit of chocolate and a little glass of Jack Daniels on the weekend or two. I mean, you got to have a little bit of simple pleasures in life, but I don't want to be a full-blown, you know, cannabis addict. I just wanted it to take the edge off my trauma when I'm activated like I am now, and just be a little bit, you know, used mindfully, with the permission of the plant, like in correspondence and in respect with the plant, to heal my mind, body and spirit, which is how I do use it. So use is a bad word. Use, predatory, dishonouring, taking without asking, disrespecting. No, when I have partaken of it, it has been, you know, I have literally asked permission from the spirit of the plant to heal me, and it's why I'm not on psych meds today. It did help. It did help quite markedly. But then I didn't do it like so often that it became an addictive thing. And I did become alarmed when I had a friend at the time that was rapidly falling into addiction with it, because that's not what it's for. It's like anything, it's a medicine that used wisely and with respect is a powerful healing agent. You're not meant to be hoovering the shit 24/7. If you're hoovering marijuana 24/7 to get through your day, you've got other things going on, you know. But anyway, it's a pity I don't know anyone that I can access it from now. But I wanted to do the legal treatment, and we'll see. If my psychiatrist can find out find a therapist who will do it with me, and it's someone that I feel comfortable with and can trust, and it doesn't cost an inordinate amount of money that is beyond my reach, I will consider doing it. Got nothing to lose. With getting older and my mind starting to defragment and alone and isolated and dishonoured and disrespected by my remnant family, it's not working for me. It's causing me to spiral under, and I don't want to spiral under. I deserve, like any other human being on this planet, to be happy, to be successful, to thrive, to be loved, to be safe, and to be healthy in my mind, body and spirit. And that's what I've been fighting for since 2015. To be me in all my fragile and yet powerful aspects of my spirit, because it depends on what happens each day, whether I feel fragile or whether I feel powerful. Today, after speaking to my doctor, who, as I said, is a wonderful human being and a wonderful man, I feel powerful, because he reminded me how I cocooned and I hunkered down through the COVID epoch of the last 3-4 years, and I turned it into something productive and life-affirming and joyful, that gives me satisfaction, that I can say to people when they say to me, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I'm a silversmith. And of course there's lots of other things I could describe myself as, but this is the current thing that gives me the most joy and satisfaction. Instead of in previous years saying, "Oh, I'm a disability pension and I'm just biding my time to die." We're all biding our time to die, but in the meantime, it's how we live that counts. What joy we can wrest from each day, and what creativity and art and music and literature, and those of you who are into sport, what physical prowess you can aspire to. I'm not a sporty person. Or if you're a scientist, what new developments that are life-affirming and don't annihilate the entire species of Earth, including animals. Fuck you dirty bastards. I'm talking about the life-affirming scientists, the ones that actually want us to have a planet to live on at the end of the day, literally, without the end of the day coming. The ones that live in light and hope and triumph and build a paradigm that's safe for all of us. It's possible, All the doom and gloom scenarios that have been thrown at us, they're all possible, but so are the positive outcomes. Yin and yang. Choose your corner where you're spiraling in eternity wisely. Don't be afraid to step out of that dark, filthy, anti-life, anti-spirit morass, and come join us, the ones of us aspiring to beauty, creativity, life, birth, power, glory, and a safe paradigm for all. They're out there. We're deemed crazy by the dark ones, but we're out there. Goodbye from sacred space. Love to all. Love is the law. Never let the bastards grind you down.